All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Workbench, your resource rich weekly podcast and newsletter for local service entrepreneurs. Super excited today to be joined by James Hilovsky. He is the CEO of the FranDream. He helps athletes and professionals find the perfect franchise fit for them. Really interesting background here, helping folks find the business opportunity that works best. So, James, really excited to dive into your business, your background for folks that are thinking about getting into a franchise system, what the right one looks like for them. So, James, thanks so much for coming on. For folks that are listening and watching, can you tell us a little bit about you personally and your background, and then kind of what you're working on here with the FranDream?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, thanks for having me. I really
Of
appreciate
course.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick synopsis of how I got into what I do now. So I had a small stint in minor league baseball that did not pan out. I was just not good enough. Everybody was happened to be really good once you got into the minor leagues. Then I went back into the restaurant business that I had worked through high school and kind of fell in love with the restaurant business, which was really, kind of crazy. But did 25 years in a corporate restaurant chain. And then a company called me and said, "Hey, come run our franchise side. We want to grow. We have one store. We're looking to really grow this brand." So we've been from one to 100 stores in a span of around 3 years. I help support franchisees. I was the liaison between them and corporate, and I also helped them with their openings. And during that time, one of the largest franchisees of that company came and asked, "Hey, would you come like to partner with us and be partners with us?" And absolutely said yes, totally. One, because they were really close to where I live, and two, the father was an ex NFL football player, and his two sons were NFL football players. So that made a really nice connection there in the athlete side. So we did that. We had the franchise. We had our restaurants, and then we did another ice cream franchise. Did our own coffee shop and did our own cookie dough shop. And then one of the brothers, he retired from the NFL, and then the other brother got hurt, couldn't fulfill the end of his contract, and then they decided, "Hey, we want to kind of sell off," and they wanted to go into the tequila business. And I really have nothing against tequila at all. It's just not my expertise. So they went their way, and then it was time to decide what to do. And from my time at the company, I just saw a lot of franchisees really that got into a system that they had no idea what they were getting themselves into. They thought maybe they were in passive business model and realized the restaurant business is basically 24/7 and had no idea how hard it was to run. So I would say a lot of those candidates were mismatched. And then the athlete side, I saw how many people came up to the athletes asking them to invest in things you probably really wouldn't invest in and wouldn't be really sound, smart decisions. So I decided then I would go out and help people, match them to franchise business ownership that matches their skill set, their interest, and that will be a great fit to them. And I wanted to focus on athletes and professionals, but I wanted to make athletes a big part of it. But also, I really, the 9 to 5 professionals that are looking to get out of corporate America and get into a business and build something for themselves really resonated with me as well.
When it came to you and your experiences building up that franchise, how much can you tell us about the concept? Maybe you can name the brand. I think it would be really interesting to hear about that personal experience you had going from 0 to 100 locations, it sounds like. And then we can dive into kind of what you think about the current franchise landscape. But any more you can share about that personal experience you had building that out?
Yeah, so the brand was Pyology Pizzeria, so it was in the pizza wars with Blaze Pizza. So
Okay.
we were all trying to build as fast as we can and as quick as we can. It was a great experience. One thing that really growing that fast, you really have to have your head on a swivel and change what you're doing and change very quickly when you're growing that fast. You get different ideas from franchisees that make a lot of difference of even in the operations to make things more efficient. So we incorporated a lot of that into it. And then, there was a lot of, a lot of transporting yourself around and handing a lot of different things from different franchisees of, "Hey, I got to open. Hey, I have this problem." So it definitely was one to where you had to prioritize and again, just had your head on a swivel, helping everybody out.
Yeah, and so what was your big takeaway from scaling something up to 100? Is there still 100 today? Is there 500? Any learnings you personally generated from the success or challenges you face while building that system out?
Yeah, I would say so they're about right around 150 now. So it really kind of stalled off and the pizza wars kind of, just kind of leveled out. So I would say really what I learned was to always be listening to everybody that's in the system of growth, especially the franchisees, is one that I learned because when we were growing that fast, we were still a young company and we didn't have, we thought we had a good system, but when franchisees were out there and executing it, they were finding there's some better way to do things. So, really being open minded, being able to take advice and being able to implement a better system and just set us instead of saying, hey, we're the franchisor, we know what we're talking about, don't tell us anything. So just having that advice and openness.
You mentioned that you work with athletes who are maybe either currently still playing and looking to invest, or maybe they're looking for that next chapter of their life after being a professional athlete, or corporate professionals who are moving on from a 9 to 5 or looking to get out of that system. Me, myself, I'm an entrepreneur. So I did it not outside the franchise system. I started a software company and we got some investment and I'm still building that business every day. So I'm an entrepreneurial person by nature. Still, the franchising model seems very interesting. For you, like, what do you see makes the right type of build of person who can join a franchise and be successful when maybe that same type of person could go start a business from scratch or go get a high paying job if they have the right skill set? What for you defines a great franchisee?
Well, defining a great franchisee first and foremost is just being able to go, yes, I'm going to bet on myself and I'm going to go and become an entrepreneur. So that's the first and foremost thing. But to make a good franchisee, what's really great about the athletes, they've been used to following a playbook all their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, a franchise system is very good because the franchisor gives them that playbook, gives them the marketing system, the pre-opening system, and everything that you need to be successful. So an athlete naturally can follow that and takes on to that. And another thing about an athlete, the franchisees in the system, well, they're there to help too. So athletes are able to take advice from teammates, just like franchisees would be their teammates, which makes that really good for the 9 to 5 person. Really, that's using their skill set and knowledge and putting their skills to work for themselves and to be able to have that freedom to do different things that they wanted to do, but also being able to take that franchise playbook and follow it. Whereas if they went to do that on their own, they don't have the system, the setup. If it's a brick and mortar, they don't have any help looking for the proper location or looking for demographics. You won't have that. Hey, I stubbed my toe doing this, so this is we perfected the system better. Or you will not have those teammates, the franchisees in the system, to go, hey, yeah, we went through that. This is a much better way to do that, or get themselves out of it. So, and just that ongoing support helps. Well,
Yeah, totally. In terms of like franchise concepts, for my software business, we work mostly with like local businesses, specifically home services, some pet care, but roofing, things like that. You've been in the game for a minute now. In terms of franchise concepts, you've mentioned a few food-based ones. What are your favorite franchise concepts? Has that opinion changed over time? And is there any new franchise concepts you've come across that have really caught your?
yeah, that's a really great question. Really, in the franchise landscape, I always, if someone comes and tells me they want a restaurant, I really try to get them to think about it and possibly will say, well, it might not be for you. And the reason why, that investment level is really high. So it's the biggest risk. And then you're really, unless you have a team of people that have run a restaurant, it really is tough to run and probably not the smartest of moves if you don't know the restaurant business. So and the really in franchising, it comes and goes. Like last year, I placed the most clients in the pet industry
Yeah,
in
love
dog grooming,
pets.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah, great. If you find a great dog groomer, they're like gold. You're gonna do very, very well. And this particular franchise had a subscription model, much like a car wash. You could take your dog in as many times as you wanted during the month. If it was twice, it's only one cost. It's great it's still a great franchise, but this year, really, it kind of involves this year. The one I place my clients in the most is a newer franchise that's up and coming, and that's indoor golf simulator business, to where you go in, you 2 hours to play a course, when you're talking 4 to 6 hours at a golf course, and sometimes waiting forever. And then also being able to practice there and looking all the analytics there. So this is an up and coming franchise that has been selling really well, does really great, really good passive models. So those would be the last kind of 2 years. And then when we talk in the home service world, that's a great market because typically that's lower investment. Oftentimes it's maybe work from home where you have some vans going out. Sometimes you need a small office space. The home service market is always, I want to say hot, but it's always a good stepping stone into the franchise world.
Yeah, no, pets. I've been bullish on pets for a couple years now. Having a dog, just saw how much you care about your animal and how much you're willing to spend, and how much I know I spend on my dog. So I love that market. We have a couple dog daycares that we work with for our software. Yeah, no, the golf one's interesting too, because as much as I've personally gotten into golf, it does take so much time. And as a new father, it's can't really be spending 6 to 8 hours a day out there on the course. What do you think about Top Golf? That's not really a franchise though, right? Can you franchise into Top Golf?
It's kind of like an investor model, not really a franchise model, but
Yeah,
it's way out there for all of us. You're talking 10 to $20 million one to be
right.
built. I personally love Top Golf. I have a Top Golf membership, and I go 3 times a week.
Yeah, no, I like that golf simulator is great. Now there was a couple of them in Southern California I would go to. When it comes time to work with one of your clients and kind of evaluate their skill set, their interests, which franchise systems would make sense for them, which franchise systems are looking for new franchisees. What is your general process for both understanding your client and then matching them with the right system that you feel they'll be successful in?
Yeah, so really it's what are you looking for? Are you looking to be owner operator? Are you looking for a passive model to where you possibly could keep your job and you have a good manager, or you're going to hire a manager to put in your place? So it's about goals, and you're looking for a single unit, you looking to build that up, get into generational wealth. Is what basically is the goals? Then we talk about investment level. Then we go over to skill set of what their current, past was about, and what their interest of different industries might be. And sometimes I do have a test they could take that kind of matches them up with their skill set that's there, gives them a nice little profile. And then we talk about the industries that are out there and kind of what they're looking for, and then show them the match, put the net out there and show them what's out there for them.
And then on the franchisee side, when it comes to evaluating the franchise, I've never evaluated franchises personally, but I would imagine that all of them have a good pitch, all of them show good numbers. They're going to have a good, nice slide deck around how you can make this amount of money. How do you coach your clients, or you personally, James, to evaluate the franchise system and make sure that it's a good fit, what they're saying is true, that you will be successful, and they actually do have the right teams, processes, technology in place to make you successful? What's your kind of rubric or framework for evaluating the franchise opportunities for your clients?
Yeah, franchise opportunities, really to evaluate it. I think the most important aspect is to talk with existing franchisees in the system.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
will tell you. So they could put any number that they business wants, and you got to dive in deep. Now, no franchise typically puts an earnings claim that's not true, but they
Right,
might
right,
put
right.
an earning claim for their highest earning system, a top dog. And look at, I always say, if you can, if the FDD, if it produces the mid medium, look at that number. That's really your realistic expectation. But then also talk with franchisees, because the most important thing in a franchise system is, what kind of support am I going to get from them? And,
Hmm.
so that's about talking franchisees. What kind of opening support did you get for them? What kind of support was your pre-launch? How quick did you make it? Were you profitable? And would you do it again? And what's the ongoing support look like? Because the most important thing, again, is that support from the franchise. And your franchisee should tell you and validate really well to where they go, yeah, the system's strong. It's a great system, and I've had really no problems. Now, you're not going to have, you know, everyone tell you it's great because there's going to be a couple of franchisees that probably got in the system that shouldn't have gotten to the system and don't follow the steps they should follow, or they are a super passive owner when they need to have more eyes on the business.
When your clients first start, how do you kind of coach them to balance following the playbook versus making the business their own? Should they, to a T, black and white, everything the playbook says follow? How do they inject their personality into this business that hopefully is local in nature and is part of the community? If they have great ideas, executing those, I guess more generally, how do you and your clients think about balancing following the system, the playbook that we know works versus using your personal strengths and your personal superpowers in the business to make it successful in a unique way that only you as a franchisee can?
Yeah, that's a great question. So really, I think really the superpowers with any owner is the way they run their businesses, the way they treat their people. So that's
Mm,
one thing that the franchise or can't really dictate, or
yeah,
they tell you how they want, but a superpower is hiring the right people, treating them well, treating your employees gold so they treat your customers like gold. That's the biggest secret sauce that you can have. Now we do also go, hey, when you're talking with the franchisor, for instance, like the dog grooming business, talk about what kind of products can I have? Are you okay if we move to a different product? Maybe testing this and do that right at the beginning, so you'll know, hey, is the franchisor okay maybe to testing a product? And then also know that the brand is the brand, and the brand is successful because they've kind of perfected the brand, but also just see where you can make some tweaks into it that are not taking away from the brand.
yeah. Makes sense. 2025, we're not too far away from 2026, which seems kind of crazy. Your personal opinion, and I know it's kind of hard to say, but everyone I've talked to that is in the franchise world, I like to ask them, what if you had to start a franchise concept today, James? Given everything you know about the world, about franchising, what would your concept be? Maybe you can be more general around industry, but I'm curious if there's a specific concept that you think, given all the variables right now, would be the most successful here in the next year or two.
Well, sadly to say, it wouldn't be a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's getting so hard to
Yeah.
run, and that investment level is just really too high. But I will tell you that a couple things. I'll just tell you a couple of franchises that I personally looked at is the dog grooming, because people
Yep.
love their pets. So
Yep.
that's super strong. Another one that came out that, gosh, I got to dig a little bit deeper into it, is in the pet industry, but it's a company that in dog walking and all that, they actually take the dogs out on a hike or an
Yeah.
adventure once a week. And they
Yeah.
put them in a bus and they take them out, and it's really a kind of wild concept. And then one of the others is really the franchise just started, and it's cleaning private jets and aircraft. And I think that would be a really good niche type deal. You're dealing with a great clientele, and I think there's a need for it, because not only does the franchise clean the jets and aircraft, so you have to put coats of paint on them every year. So the franchise helps with that, and it's completely mobile. So that's definitely intriguing. And definitely home service market is always one that is, I don't want to say safe, but it's pretty safe, because you always need it. Really, it's in the home service. It's finding the franchise that you think can launch your business and help market your business the best, because there's 20 HVAC companies out there in
Right.
your
Right. Right.
neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
James, makes sense. James, anything we didn't cover here that you wanted to get to today?
No, I think we've covered it all. I mean, really, the thing is, hey, take that leap of faith and look at franchising, and be an entrepreneur. I'm sure if I asked you this question, you've done it all your life, so you probably would say, yeah, I did that. But anytime you ask an entrepreneur, do you love being an entrepreneur? Do you have any regret? And I think most of them would say, I wish I would have done it sooner. Really, to just have that freedom and that flexibility in life, it makes a huge difference.
James, thank you so much for coming on. For folks that are listening and maybe want your help getting into the right franchise system, where can folks connect with you personally or learn more about the FranDream?
Yeah, the FranDream, .com website's right there. You could check some things out. There's a contact form. You could search franchises or just shoot me an email, James at the FranDream.
James, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.